All right. Hello, citizens of the Nigelverse. It is Nigel here once again, and this is going to be another movie review. According to all known laws of aviation, there is no way that a bee should be able to fly. Its wings are too small to lift its fat little body off the ground. He, of course, flies anyway, because bees don't care about what humans think is impossible. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to review the B movie. And of course, as always, I am not professional movie reviewer or analyst or anything like that. Just a man who enjoys a good time. And I can't lie, I had a pretty good time rewatching this movie. This is the first time I've seen this movie in a long time. I honestly don't remember the last time I've seen this movie in its entirety. It has to have been like a decade or two at this point, but I'm here to rewatch it, and what an appropriate day to rewatch this movie. But does it still hold up, or is it truly around just because of its meme material? Grab your favorite jazz CD and let's find out. Of course, if you've seen these reviews of mine before, you kind of already know how this works. If you haven't, I'm going to be talking about what I liked and disliked about the movie, and I will also be providing at the beginning here a little bit of a plot summary to see what goes on in this movie. So we start off with Barry, who's getting ready. Barry B. Benson, he's getting ready for his graduation. He uses a bottle of honey for soap, deodorant, and toothpaste and hair gel. And he sharpens his stinger, looks for a jacket. He cycles through yellow, black until he finds a black and yellow. Oh, and then he makes his way out to pick up his friend Adam, and they drive to their graduation. Fair bit of warning. I was gonna save it till later on, but I figured I might as well mention it here. There are a lot of bee puns in this movie, which I guess, given the name of the movie, that being B movie, it probably was a given, but it gets a little excessive at times. But without further ado, let's continue on. So Barry and Adam graduate. Their graduation ceremony is literally only a few seconds. I wish my college graduation was that short, and they are off to find work at Honex Industry, which is the honey making workforce of the bees. It's where all the bees work at. And there's a variety of jobs, uh, including storing the honey and stuff like that, and even like being a crash test dummy in a way. But Barry, upon realizing that he's going to have this job for the rest of his life, becomes kind of disillusioned and kind of upset with that, and he doesn't necessarily want to be stuck in one dead end job for the rest of his life. Eventually, they come across the pollen jocks, who are just coming back from collecting pollen from the flowers and converting it to nectar and everything to make the honey. So they come back in. Barry, he does pretend to be a pollen jock at first to try to riz up the ladies. I puked in my mouth a little bit just saying that word. But Barry tries to impress the ladies, as does his friend Adam. But eventually, the pollen jocks kind of invite them out, and Barry at least takes them up on the challenge and is trying to prove that he is in fact be enough to be able to join them on their journey and leave the hive. And sure enough, the next day, hey, hey, they, Adam takes his job. He looks to pick his job because there's jobs opening up like every moment, because a lot of bees die off and everything, which is kind of dark to think about, but it is also kind of the truth. But Barry, he sure enough takes the pollen jocks up on their offer, and they eventually leave the hive. They come across the flowers, they pollinate them, gather the nectar and everything. But Barry does get lost and gets separated from everyone after he accidentally sticks to a tennis ball with some characters that we will loop around back to. But Barry goes through a series of hijinks, including accidentally ending up in someone's a car with like a family in it, and he almost gets killed in that car. He ends up near a house because it's starting to rain and the bees can't fly in the rain. So Barry tries to escape, but eventually he winds up in a house shared by Vanessa, who is a florist, and Ken and Vanessa were the ones playing tennis earlier. But yeah, so Vanessa the florist, and then Ken, aka the real hero of this movie. He, but Ken notices, because they have friends over. Ken notices Barry on one of the chips, which that friend, like, hey, unfortunately, he has to throw that chip away now. But Ken almost nails Barry with his winter boots. But Vanessa, sure enough, spares Barry's life, saying, "Why is his life more?" Less important than Ken's, already showing the seeds of dissension, but we're not quite there yet. But she puts a newspaper, she gets a newspaper, puts a glass like a glass of normally like a glass that would be used for liquids over. But it's an empty glass. That was the word I was looking for. But uh, excuse me, she grabs that and kind of places Barry outside. He waits out the rain, and eventually he is woken up once it stops raining. And so he goes to thank Vanessa. He goes in, tries to figure out a way to talk to her. Her suggests asking if she likes jazz, but eventually he kind of says thanks. Vanessa's freaking out because bees shouldn't be able to talk, to the point where she even stabs herself with a fork. I'm sure that moment made Abdul the Butcher very happy. Um, but eventually she realizes that the talking bee is not part of the dream, and so Barry and Vanessa kind of make friends, and I use friends in quotation marks, but Barry eventually gets back to the hive. He tells Adam about how what's been going on, and Adam is totally against it, saying that Barry should be thinking B. Apparently, there was a song that was supposed to go with it that was kind of cut, but I think they put it back in the credits, if I'm not mistaken. But which is also worth mentioning. I tried to find this movie to watch on like traditional streaming, like Netflix and stuff like that. It was not on Netflix, unfortunately. I remembered someone uploaded the full video. It was either on YouTube or I think it was on Twitter. But either one, hey, I guess it was taken down. So someone put together a playlist of different clips from the movie and kind of like Frankenstein them together to be able to watch the movie. So that's how I was able to watch the movie. It didn't have every single scene, but I guess beggars can't be choosers. So the other scenes that they missed, um, I kind of just filled in the blanks by looking around on YouTube for the different clips, just for the added extra context. But low enough, sure enough, I should say, a yeah, Barry and Vanessa are getting kind of close. Adam tells Barry to stop interacting with the humans. Apparently, it's a bee law that bees are not allowed to talk to humans. And Barry has essentially broken a bee law. But But eventually, it does lead to probably one of my favorite scenes in the movie, and probably one of a lot of people's favorite scenes in the movie. So Barry still hasn't found a job. His parents are kind of on him, and so he swims down to the pool and begins having a daydream about him and Vanessa. See if I can keep it together. Or okay. All right. I'm gonna try my best to describe this scene without laughing. But you guys are gonna have to bear with me. I'm sorry. The dream sequence goes that he and Vanessa um, are out on a picnic date, and Vanessa kills a wasp initially, or some kind of bug. It might have been a mosquito. I forget exactly. He, uh, they laugh it off. Then Vanessa gets in an airplane and and flies alongside Barry. And I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. She gets in the plane. She draw she draws a heart in the sky, and then she pushes the plane into the mountain, and it blows up, and that's how the daydream ends. Like Barry calls out for her, and then he like chokes on like the pool of honey, and then comes back up. Now a few things. First of all, considering all the other pop culture references in this movie, I'm surprised they didn't. I'm surprised when Barry was in the pool, they didn't make a reference to the album Nevermind by Nirvana, because that one is also pictured in a pool. But the other thing is when when I tell you, when I was a kid and I watched this movie for the first time, like in its entirety, we even had it on DVD. When I tell you, when Vanessa like crashed her plane, I mean, it came so out of nowhere and so out of left field. When I tell you, I cackled like an absolute idiot for like 10 straight minutes when I first saw that as a kid. I died laughing when that first happened. In fact, sometimes even before I watched it in its entirety for the purpose of this review, even sometimes I would go back and look up that scene, and I would just laugh, uh, just laugh so hard every single time. Even when I was watching the movie earlier for the purpose of review, and I was on the bus on my way home, the scene was coming up, and I knew I couldn't laugh too hard, or else like other people would probably start staring at me. So I tried my best to hold it together. I don't know if I was fully successful. I didn't get a whole lot of like weird or dirty looks, so I'm guessing I was able to keep it in relatively well. I thought I thought I kept it in pretty well, but oh my god, and I even laughed almost there right here on camera. It's just because it's so unexpected, and it's so juxtaposed to pretty much everything else about that whole dream sequence. But sure enough, Barry comes back up, and he continues hanging out with Vanessa. They get closer and closer. Eventually, they find themselves in a grocery store. He's almost killed by an employee, and Barry discovers a very horrifying sight that they're jarring up all kinds of honey and selling it. They even have like the Ray Liotta brand honey, which is not a real, from what I was able to research, is not a real brand of honey. It was pretty much just there to get Ray Liotta in this movie, but Barry is not too happy about it, so he goes to investigate. He has a sword fight, and what I mean is it's less of a sword fight and more of a stinger versus thumbtack fight with the employee, and finds out that the honey is coming from Honey Farms. So he hitches a ride on the truck where more hijinks ensue. Where he finds himself on the windshield. He meets up with Moose Blood, the mosquito, mosquito and some other bugs, and and he kind of tells Mooseblood his story, and Mooseblood shares his and Mooseblood being a mosquito is going to be important for a joke for later. But eventually, Barry makes his way to Honey Farms, and it's also worth mentioning Mooseblood is heading to Alaska, and he does find another truck that is going to Alaska, so he hops on that one. But Barry eventually finds his way to Honey Farms and sees the beekeepers using bee smokers to incapacitate the colonies so that they make the honey and the beekeepers make the money. That their word, like their exact words, give or take. And so Barry is pretty upset by this, and so he decides he's going to sue the human race. Well, it says in the script, it says in the wiki here, he's suing the human race. It's kind of implied that Barry's suing the human race, but in like the legal paperwork and how they describe it within like the courtroom scene and everything, like all the different court scenes, he's mainly just suing like the five big brands of like honey that have been gathering the honey and everything. So it's admittedly kind of weird in that regard, as if this movie needed to be any more weird. But Vanessa and Adam help Barry sue the human race, stinging them where it hurts in the court of law. And of course he goes against the defense attorney, Leighton Montgomery, who Leighton Montgomery absolutely steals the show in his own right, as he addresses the jury, or as he calls it, the jury, and um and implies that Barry is the result of Hollywood motion picture or her Hollywood wizardry. He Department of Redundancy department there. He's the result of motion picture Hollywood wizardry, which, considering this is a movie, yeah, kinda. He implies they use laser beams, perhaps even ventriloquism. He even accuses Barry of being on steroids, which Leighton, and is Barry not real? Because he talks in front of all the humans and everything, and everyone hears him talk. And that's why Leighton says this is like Hollywood wizardry, like smoke and mirrors, essentially accuses Barry of being smoke and mirrors. He says that, but then he also says that he's on steroids. Which one is it, Leighton? But sure enough, Barry refused against that, and so the first day of trial, Barry and the rest of the plaintiff side of things try to dismantle the defense one by one. They first bring up the one who runs like honey farms and everything, showing that they're taking the honey, that they're beekeepers and not bee freers, which kind of dances close to that line. But I'm sure you know which line I'm talking about. But eventually they bring in a real bear into the courtroom to show that bears are dangerous and that they hurt bees. The jury is like scared off at first, and the judge, instead of being like, "Why is that bear here? Get that bear out of here," she shakes her head. The guy right at it's only gonna get weirder from here. Then next up is Sting. No, the other Sting. There we go. From the band The Police. He's and Barry chastises him for using Sting as a stage name for and kind of taking it from bees. Well, there are plenty of other animals that sting, but go off, I guess, and reveals that Sting's real name is Gordon M. Sumner. Or which Montgomery gets mad at them for including Sting's real name, but at the same time, it's probably public knowledge at this point. He is a celebrity after all. And then of course there's the scene with Ray Liotta, Ray Liotta, who owns like the honey, or who his face is on the had a brand of honey that we saw earlier. And Barry kind of gets at him. Says he's not a good fella, he's a bad fella. Kind of exploits Ray Liotta's rage. I'm not sure if that's a real thing or if it was just for the purpose of this movie. Also, Barry congratulates Ray on his Emmy. Cool. Why? Excuse me, but why? And I kind of know why in universe. I'm guessing his appearance on the show ER was right before then, which is why he won the Emmy. Why did he bring the Emmy in the courtroom with him? But uh, and nevertheless, Ray snaps and says, "Why doesn't anyone just squash this bug and we can all go home?" Which I'm sure is what most of the audience is probably thinking by now. I won't say most, probably some of the audience, but things are going well. Apparently, that all happened within the same day. Hey, and sure enough, later on, Barry and Vanessa are eating dinner, celebrating. Ken comes home. Oh man, little by little, he eventually snaps. He goes after Barry, tries to kill him with Italian Vogue, which, Mamma Mia, that is a lot of pages. But they had the fight. They have the fight in the bathroom. It's probably one of the funniest fights. Ken steals the show as well. Oh, and like I said, Ken is the real hero because he is justifiably crashing out at all the absurdity of what's going on, his uh including having his girlfriend being essentially stolen by a bee, which also leads him to ask, of course, the age-old question that scholars are still trying to figure out to this day: why is yogurt night so difficult? But sure enough, he fights off Barry. Vanessa comes in. She apparently doesn't notice all the flames going up as Ken is using like the air freshener plus the flame trick. I don't know if that air freshener flame trick actually works, and I'm too afraid to try it. Lest I end up like poor Anakin Skywalker, or alternatively Kane, whichever joke you want to go with for that. But eventually, Vanessa comes in, realizes what Ken's doing as he's about to kill Barry, and she dumps him and tells Ken to get out. And Ken and leaves, and he's gone. He and Vanessa are done, and the next day in court, Montgomery riles up Barry, asking him a lot of pointed questions. Why the objection wasn't raised sooner for badgering and the witness is kind of interesting. Granted, it's a cartoon, so they kind of played fast and loose with the logic here, and that will be important for later. But eventually, Adam has had enough. He stands all he can stand, but he can't stand no more. Or so, sure enough, he takes the bait and he stings Montgomery. Montgomery falls all over, having been stung in his buttocks, looks as he so eloquently points out, and pretty much Faines gives an Oscar-winning performance, and Adam is in the hospital. They attach him a new stinger from kind of like the uh little pick thing. Hang on, I forget what it's called. Kind of like the little pick thing that they use to put the olives in like the sandwiches and stuff. So Adam gets a new stinger, which is not exactly how that works, but okay. Hey, and sure enough, the next day, hey, Barry finds the literal smoking gun by getting the gun that the beekeepers use to smoke the bees. He's in order to siphon the honey and kind of keep them there and everything. So Barry and the bees win the trial, but Montgomery warns Barry that at the shift in nature from Barry's actions will negatively affect everything, and sure enough, he will be proven right. Hey, all the honey that has been distributed has been taken back. They even took out Winnie the Pooh, which definitely a jab at Disney, because this is DreamWorks we're talking about, and jabs at Disney and other fairy tales is nothing new. But also, considering all the hijinks things that Winnie the Pooh has gotten up to get honey, yeah, kind of fair. Here, they even like tackle and arrest a grandma, which is really funny. But eventually they get the honey. They get so much honey back in the hive. In fact, that everyone at Hunex pretty much stops making honey. So the bees stop making honey, and lo and behold, that has a negative effect on the entire environment. And and because all the plants and everything starts to wither without the pollination, and but also even in the hive, Adam is now out of a job because nobody's making honey anymore, so Hunex is shut down essentially. So Adam is kind of upset about that, and then Vanessa also chastises Barry because of his actions, showing that the plants die and how much the bees contributed to the plants and flowers growing and everything. So she had to close down her florist business. And they, I'll save it. I'll save it. No, it won't. Oh, it's crazy how much they get on Barry, as if they also weren't there helping Barry sue the human race. But you do you, I guess. But Barry comes up with a plan to get the last of the roses is from the Tournament of Roses parade in Pasadena, California, which apparently is a real thing. But they get the roses, they hijack one of the floats, they steal one of the floats that contain the flowers, which has just enough pollen to help out the rest of the plants. So Barry and Vanessa gather the roses, but they do run into a problem on their flight. They run out of peanuts. No, I'm just kidding. Actually, there is bad weather, which I did experience on my flight. Go check out my first time flying story time to learn more about that. It wasn't anything too crazy, but it did happen. But sure enough, Barry goes to talk to the pilots about what's going on. Tries to talk to them to see if there's anything that can be done. However, the pilots try to kill Barry because he's a bee and they see a bee, so they try to take it out, but they accidentally end up knocking each other out. So, great, there's nobody to pilot the plane, so Vanessa goes in. Vanessa and Barry try to pilot the plane. Barry, he pretty much sends a message. He calls like air traffic control to try to help out, and then he calls the bees, tells them like to ask them to help out and everything. So the pollen jocks and the rest of the bees come out, not just to help fly the plane and everything, but also they make like a multicolored or a pulsating yellow and black flower to help land the plane. Sure enough, they do. The flowers are there. They pollinate the flowers. Barry officially gets his jacket, becomes one of the pollen jocks. The plants are restored. Everybody happy. Ken crashes out one last time because Barry's living his dream. As now Vanessa's florist business is back open. Barry has officially gone into law and helps out with other cases, his including a cow. Who is big for the dairy industry? Which, yeah, fair enough. But Moose Blood comes back. He's the official lawyer and everything, and he does make a really funny joke where he says, "I was already a blood sucking parasite. All I needed was a briefcase." He's damn what a deep cut. But everybody happy essentially, and everything essentially goes back to normal. And also it's worth mentioning with the flowers they also give a jar of honey that is bee approved. They also sell honey that is bee approved. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is Bee Movie, at least the plot of Bee Movie. Starting with what I liked. Admittedly, this movie was quite a bit of fun. I can't lie, I had quite a bit of fun. There's a few like pretty funny moments in this movie. He, a bit childish humor, but also some references and stuff that I found myself giggling at. Then again, I am very easily amused, so take that for what you will. Also, worth mentioning, the animation is also really good, especially for a movie that came out in 2007. The animation is very nice, very vibrant and everything. Seeing how the honey works and everything, excuse me, within the hive, like seeing the different machines that they have for the honey within the hive was actually pretty cool. But um, but there's that aspect, and the message I can appreciate kind of the message that they tried to get across. There's a few messages they try to tell within this movie. For starters, for starters, the message of how important bees are, especially with bees kind of being endangered. It feels like having a movie to kind of raise awareness about how important bees are, or how important bees and like pollination, nectar, and all that is to the ecosystem as a whole. Well, is I think a really cool concept, including showing what happens when that stuff is taken away. Hey, also there is the idea of what Barry is up to as a character, which is a the fact that you should definitely try to be individual, try to stand out in your own way, and it's kind of anti-conformist in a way. Also, the undertones, but then also trying to get across the message of be careful what you wish for and that actions have consequences. Even seemingly good actions in theory can lead to bad consequences if done wrong. And I think the way the movie tried to convey that, I think it definitely gets the message across. For the most part, we see how royally Barry screwed up. Granted, he made everything right in the end, um, but to see how much he screwed up and then try to turn things around, I think that aspect of it was pretty cool, um, and to see how they played around with that idea and tried to showcase that idea, I think was you can see where they were going. You can see the intentions of what they were getting at. But the other thing with this movie, this is what I would consider an all-star cast. You have Jerry Seinfeld as Barry, you have Renee Zellweger as Vanessa, you have Matthew Broderick as Adam, you have John Goodman as Leighton, you have Patrick Warburton as Ken, you have Barry Levinson, Kathy Bates, Chris Rock, Larry King, who is B. Larry King. They have a Larry King joke in the movie. You got Oprah as the judge. Sting and Ray Liotta voice themselves, which is a pretty cool get. Now, apparently, I'll have to see if this was the case with Sting. For Ray Liotta, he actually asked to be in the movie, so that was pretty cool. So they were able to find a role for him in the movie. I'll have to see if Sting also requested to be in the movie. Let me see. Um, Okay, so I wasn't able to find it. I tried to look on the fandom wiki, which is where I saw the Ray Liotta aspect of it. But it was pretty cool to see them get roles in the movie. But yeah, pretty much an all-star cast for a movie like this to have pretty much a cast of like very well-known celebrities. Now, I feel like more so nowadays, having well-known celebrities doing voice acting is usually hit or miss. But I think for the most part, it works for this movie. But yeah, pretty much an all-star cast. So that stuff I think is very well done. Now for the dislikes. For starters, the message. I said I could appreciate the message wasn't delivered in the best way. Hey, because the way it feels like they went about it almost, I don't want to say contradicts, but almost defeats the purpose. The way Barry is supposed to be this individual, he's supposed to try to follow his own path, but comes across as kind of lazy in a lot of ways and very much not committed. Which it's granted, yeah, sometimes it takes some time to find your own path in life and everything, and you're gonna fall into pitfalls. But for Barry to he'll almost be he lazy in a lot of ways and then almost kind of stumble into this path and then make these reckless decisions. Granted, the reckless decisions allow him to learn from them eventually, but the way that was done, and I could see why it would alienate some people. And the fact that Vanessa and Adam also got on him when they were also, when they were also just as much of the problem because they also helped Barry sue the entire human race. I think. is also worth mentioning, and it feels like Barry for the most part learns his lesson. Vanessa learns her lesson as well. Adam, for the most part, kind of learns their lesson, but the way they went about it, it is a bit, what's the best word I'm looking for? Wasn't done in the best way. I think is probably the best way I can describe it. And I wish it was done in a bit of a better way. And they try their best to make Ken unlikable, but when you really look at it from his perspective, which people have talked about, oh man, Ken is a big old victim when it comes to this. He loses his girlfriend to a bee, he essentially, and all this stuff happens, and yes, karma catches up to Barry, but then everything's okay again. So Barry kind of gets away with it in a way. Also, this movie came out. It's worth mentioning. This movie came out in 2007. There's a lot of. I talked about how the animation was. There are a lot of jokes and aspects about it, and some of the humor in it that doesn't age the best. And that's kind of how it is when it comes to a lot of older movies, because a lot of older movies, you look at some of the stuff and you kind of go like, ugh. There's plenty of movies where that happens, where you look at a lot of the humor and the stuff they were talking about and the pop culture references at the time, and you kind of look back and you're like, ugh. But it's definitely present in this movie. Now, having the cameos from people like Larry King and Ray Liotta and Sting, I think, was also pretty cool. But yeah, there is that part of it, and then and all, and then and what was the last thing I was going to bring up? I just had it. I talked about the characterization in a lot of ways. I talked about it not aging the best. The logic. Now, obviously, it's cartoon. It's a cartoon. It's not real life. It's not reality. It's not. Hey, so we're not going based off of real logic here. Like sometimes you can apply real logic to like animated scenarios or unrealistic scenarios, but excuse me. In this case, they definitely play fast and loose with a lot of the logic compared to the real life. For starters, Barry probably would have been long dead before the lawsuit even got off the ground. Also, the lawsuit, who seems too broad, suing the entire human race. Now, granted, they kind of try to shorten it to just the five companies, but they also try to have both, like where he's suing the five companies that make the honey, or in a way kind of steal the honey, but then also it kind of morphs into bees versus the human race, which is a little weird. And then the fact that everything moves so fast, where Barry, he shows up, uh, um, sees all this honey, has a lawsuit filed, and they go to trial within like a week, and then 3 days later it's over. Or like, I'm sorry, I'm not a lawyer, but man, real life courts wish they could move that fast. Because I've heard plenty of the war stories, but like I said, it's a cartoon, but man, man, the logic can be all over the place sometimes. And I guess the kind of gray area is this movie is when it comes to this movie is very weird in a lot of regards. Like kind of weird premise, the weird premise of the Vanessa and Barry romance. I did not need to see a bee's bedroom eyes, but I did. Also, if oh sorry B movie, if we're not letting Sonic and Elise slide, we're not letting this slide either. Or like this was very weird. Or a lot of the jokes and humor from the time I'm aged not the best, which also makes that kind of weird. Or like this movie is just very weird. It's a very weird anomaly of a movie. Ken is kind of shown. Ken and Montgomery are kind of shown as villainous, even though they're the reasonable ones, and everybody treats them like they're the crazy ones. But which at least Vanessa also points out that she has some part in it. Even she did that part. Adam, I don't think he did that at least. So I guess props to Vanessa for owning up to her part in the whole destruction of the plants and everything. And also, going back to the logic, hey, like people have pointed out, A, bees aren't the only one that help pollinate the plants, and B, the lack of pollination and the total ruin of the plants and everything would not happen that quickly. It would probably take some time, but I imagine that would happen eventually, and it wouldn't just be fixed just like that. It would also take some time, but like I said, again, it's a cartoon, but it's a very weird movie. Would I recommend it? Yeah, like it's a weird time capsule of a movie, and it's got some cool ideas, and it can be a lot of fun at times. So I guess I recommend it on that merits. If you're looking for or something Oscar worthy or something super deep that you're going to really hang on to and resonate, which you could tell the movie almost tried to do in a way, but I kind of missed the mark. If you're looking for something like that, you're probably not going to find it in this movie, but if you're just looking for a fun time, I would recommend it. But in the meantime, that is going to do it for this review. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please do me a favor: like, comment, subscribe, or should I say, buzz, and buzz? Because share it with your friends. Turn on post notifications so you know every single time I upload a video, so you never miss an upload. Let me know in the comment section below. First of all, let me know, do you like jazz? But also, let me know in the comments your thoughts on this movie, my review of the movie. Do you like the movie? Do you like my review of the movie? Let me know. It is kind of late. There is a chance this could be going up tomorrow. Try to get it in time for April 1st, aka April Fools. Uh, but if I don't, just know it was intended for April 1st. But in the meantime, thank you all so much for watching. I will see you guys later. Buzz.